Wasu, if you like, as well as Angela Mbudia, who is a student leader at the University of Nairobi, and finally Kipsang Sosion, a student leader at Kenyatta University. They will be telling us how exactly this ongoing lecturer strike has affected them. But before we get into that discussion, it's time to bring in Jane, who is with us in studio, to give you the SMS line, which you can be able to interact with us, as well as how you can interact with us on the show. Jane, over to you now.
Thank you, Catherine. Good evening and welcome once again to Beyond the Headlines. My name is Jane Wamboy. Now, as already mentioned, in today's discussion, we will be looking at matters to do with education and more specifically, the lecturers' strike. Now, as we know it, the public university lecturers have been on strike for over a month now, and so far, there has been no solution brought forth for this impasse. Now, between 2016 and now, public university lecturers have gone on strike 4 times, a clear indicator that there is a problem and a problem that needs a solving fast. And so today, we'll be going deeper into this issue to try and find out what really the problem is. And as we ask you, what really is the cost of these strikes? What is the cost of these strikes by public university lecturers? As always, we invite you to be part of this discussion, so why don't you go ahead and talk to us. Our SMS line is 22162. Do leave a name and location. We'd love to know where you're watching us from. You can also go on to Twitter. The hashtag to use is BTHKBC, and our handle at KBC Channel 1. The conversation starts now. Back to you, Catherine.
Well, thank you, Jane, for that. Those are some of the SMS lines. You can give us your feedback. Of course, you can also talk to us on social media. But before we get back to what you have to say, let's first focus with those who are most affected by the ongoing lecturers' strike. And I want to begin with the students themselves. And I'll begin with you, Sosion, as a student leader and as a student. How exactly is this strike affecting you?
This strike is affecting the students a great deal. I mean, like we've always said, the prime person who is affected by the lecturer strike is the student. So precisely, the students, just to paint a picture of what has been from last year. In a row, we have had 3 strikes. Last year, from February, I mean from 18th January to 14th March, there was a lecturer strike. It was followed by another one from October, which ended towards the middle of December. Then when we thought the situation has normalized and we are coming back to school, it was followed now by another one, which started on 1st March and which has not ended now. And just like I'm trying to, show you how it has really been that serious. Remember, we've had students again from the School of Medicine. At the University of Nairobi, they say College of Health Sciences. Those ones have now been affected more than any other student. Because for one, learning has not been taking place. Not at all, because there was a 100 days doctor strike. After the 100 days strikes of the doctors, it now came the lecturer strike again. At the moment now. Like in KU, the students from the School of Medicine were supposed to finish their 3rd semester exams on 14th September. Remember, 14th September. That is if there was no lecturer strike. And now, with the lecturer strike, it tells you that they may finish a semester of the previous academic year in December or even January to start another academic year. So the calendar has really been distorted and mixed up. We cannot really tell what even becomes of the future of education at the university level.
Over to you now, Angela.
Yes, thank you so much, Achenga.
Angel, sorry.
It's okay. And thank you so much for hosting us and finding this matter very serious to host on a day like today. And I am a great victim of these circumstances because I joined the University of Nairobi Bachelor of Arts in 2014, and I was expected to clear by December 2017. And because we've had 2 phases of strikes, that means I definitely haven't finished. I was supposed to finish in December last year. Now and then we went into for some 2 months of learning, January and February, and then I was supposed to begin my final semester, which I have not begun. And if I have not begun this semester, then I don't know when I'm going to finish campus. And then you can also remember that we receive help. And the same help we got at the beginning of 4th year is the same one that is sustaining us until this time. So the students are frustrated. We are demotivated. We are at home. We are at school at times to see whether things will work. And all I request is to have our dons paid, because again, we cannot be taught by hungry and demotivated lecturers. We want to be taught well, we want quality education, and we need the employers of our lecturers to take this matter very seriously, and the government to step in. And if the president does not know about this, we are his neighbors, we can brief him. He's the chair of the Nyumba Kumi in our area. So we will just go there and remind him that, Mr. President, we are not going to class, we are the best in this country, and we need to keep our dreams, dreams alive.
Dr. You seem to be nodding your head. Are you hungry and demotivated, like she says?
No, I'm very disappointed that, you know, with the way the government is handling the request of lecturers in public universities. So for that, I'm really sorry for what our two students are, are going through. And as a lecturer, as a trainer of teachers in the School of Education in our university, I think it is bad. It is embarrassing to see students going without being taught. And the most serious thing is, as she has articulated, there's no solution in sight. That's why, out of desperation, she feels perhaps the president is not properly briefed, because this is a matter of national interest.
So the question would then be, how did we get here in the first place?
I think one, as I pointed out in an article, an opinion I wrote about 2 weeks ago to the Daily Nation, on what can be done to address the persistent lecturer strike, I think the main cause of these, the persistent strikes,
yes,
is one, the unequal salaries, the disparities among, in salaries among public servants, and lecturers are public servants. We have huge salary gaps or earnings which have not been addressed, and I thought the salary and remuneration commission, which was set up some years back, I thought that is what it was to address. So it's the reason why lecturers are highly skilled. They are not as well, as compensated as well as other public servants working in some government agencies, the central bank, KRA, where some of our students go. So, and this has been going on for a long time without anybody thinking about addressing that.
But do you think the strike is going to address it?
I don't know. It's anybody's guess. My boss is here, and I think he'll tell us.
He'll tell us what he's been talking about with government. Okay, Mberia, Chairman of WASU.
Yeah, Madam Acheng, allow me to give a bit of slight history so that even the youngsters we have here, and they have said it all, and correctly so. But let me remind Kenyans that early 1970s, during the leadership of His Excellency, the first president of the father of this nation, Jomo Kenyatta, professors in public universities were earning slightly more than 7,000 shillings, Kenya shillings. While the permanent secretaries were earning slightly below 4,000 shillings.
That's true.
And therefore the leading earner was a professor.
But how many were they at the time?
That's not the big
The
question.
number is immaterial.
Even now, the permanent secretaries are also increasing in numbers. Come late 1970s, when the second president took over in 1978, he was advised, as you have asked whether the current president is advised. He was advised to professors already endowed academically. If you continue strengthening their pockets, they will overturn the government. That was a very bad advice, and that is why the rain started beating us. We then formed this union because it was very difficult to form a staff union. We started it that early, In 1992, quite a number of our senior professors ran away from this country, others were arrested, some are dead, and we wanted to have a union that will bring the glory of the lecturer back in the university. It was until 2 or 3 May, when President Kibaki took over the government, that he allowed the registration of WASU, University's Academic Staff Union. October the same year, we tried to request the government to move out of roadside, offering us 2%, 3% to accept the union now to negotiate, and it was again very difficult. Noting that President Kibaki was himself a lecturer in Makerere University. So we thought we had one of our own, but it never came. So we went on the first strike. So my sister, my daughter and my son should understand from there that from 2 or 3 October, we have had more than 15 strikes.
More than 15?
More than 15 strikes.
And have
because the way they have been coming is that we have to go on strike to force the government to come on the table. When we have completed the CBA, we must go another second strike to force the government to implement. Even after implementing, 2 or 3 times, the vice-chancellors stole that money. So we are forced on a third strike to force the vice-chancellors to release the stolen money. But the question is, and a big question to be asked, who is buying the strength the vice-chancellors are exhibiting in public universities? Are they not public officers?
Based on what you're saying, you've had 15 strikes since
15. Over 15. I said over 15, not 15.
Over 15 since
But let me
2003.
zero in on the current now.
Before you zero in, based on what you're saying, over 15 strikes.
Yeah.
Are they bearing fruits at the end of the day?
They kept on bearing fruit. The first strike that we staged very dangerously, that took 9 months, was that one that started October 2 or 3. It ended February 2 or 4. We got between 116% and 160. The lower earners, the graduate assistants, assistant lecturers, were given 160% salary increment. The professors, associate, and senior lecturers were given 116, and that at least removed us from 1-digit salary to a 2-digit, but miserable 2 digits.
So the current strike, what has informed?
Now I want
What
to
is
come
it
to
that
the
you're
current
pushing for?
strike. That I want to tell my son. Last year there were 3 strikes. He recorded 2. We had a strike that started in January and went through up to 14th March. That strike was to force the government to come on table and discuss and release our 2013-2017 CBA. This is where Kenyans must understand we are not sick. It was 2013-2017 CBA because the SRC, Salaries and Remuneration Commission, removed our 2-year cycle of negotiations to 4-year cycle. And therefore the 4-year cycle started in 2013. It was to come up to June 2017. So the government had not negotiated. And it is supposed to be negotiated 6 months, if not 1 year, before the cycle starts. The cycle starts 1st July 2013. So we became patient. We became philanthropic enough. We are law abiding. We held our horses. But when it came to last year, we realized that elections are going to take place. And if we don't make noise, we shall just be swept under the bridge. So that's why we went for that bridge, to force the government to release money for 2013-2017. And that is strike.
So the money you're pushing for right now is for when?
No, I'm bringing you a chain. I wanted the Kenyans to get it right, because there is a lot of mishap. So that was to force the government to release money for 2013-2017. And then to get out of the strike on 14th March, we signed a CBA. A return to work formula. This return to work formula was very explicit. One of the articles is stated very clearly. For us not to witness what we witnessed in 2013-2017, the other cycle is 2017-2021. That one must also be negotiated, signed, and implemented by 1st July 2017. That was, and it is in our return to work formula, signed between us and the employer. Then when it came to releasing the 10 billion that was released after another strike, the strike was in July. The students, is good that they forgot that one. So we went on another strike to force the government to release the 10 billion. After it was released, they returned the salary to where it was in 2013. And therefore we went for this land strike in October, that is allowed October, November, which ended on 8th December, to force the government to improve the salaries as per the schedules. That was done. But it's still, those 3 strikes had return to work formula. And this
so you're saying the government did not implement the return to work
the
formula?
government already understands this one language, the strike.
And let me come back to the students. I mean, based on what he's saying, do you even know the genesis of the strike, and how exactly do you plan to go around this? Because obviously, like he's saying, they have no plans of going back to class. As students, what is your plan B?
Even before we talk about the plan B, number one is that if the whole issue of the strike is not, if long-term solutions are not resort for the lecturers strike, the KUSU, KUDEA, and WASU, if a long-term solution is not...
I think they have said today they'll go back to work from tomorrow.
Yeah, if a long-term, then for the 3, they may say they are going today, and after 1 month, the government should changes them and they go back, you know. So I want to say that there is need to find a long-term solution, because higher education is being thrown to dogs. Because surely, how do you explain someone who is supposed to study for 4 years, taking 6 years in the university? How, I mean, which sense can we even show someone? So, I mean, the government, to some extent, again, it leaves us, the students, worrying. You know, I was quoted sometime this week saying the government has a big 4 agenda. And this big 4, and I was asking somewhere, is there a big 4 and small 4? Because if there's a big 4 agenda, and the government is serious about its deliberating and, you know, fulfilling its promises during the electoral period, then they must, the education is key. And if education is key, the government should go down there. So I was trying to say that, you know, having wasted all that time, then again, maybe signing a CBA, they go back to class, then the government fails to implement, another problem comes in, we go back. A long-term solution should be found. Now, I think the government has been negotiating not in good faith, in bad faith. Because if the government was negotiating in good faith, just to finish up on that,
are you siding with the lecturers?
Definitely. I mean, as students, you know, in future, I may want to learn in this sector. And she may in future, in one way or another, whether her or related persons want to learn in this sector. What they are fighting for is a better pay for them. Good conditions at the universities, whose conditions benefit us as students. So
but doesn't it come as an expense to you as a student?
Definitely an expense, but now we're not blaming on the lecturers, we are blaming on the government. Because the government, if the government was acting in good faith and implements the CBAs and the return to work formulas, then they would not be issued. And there would not be an item to discuss, we would be learning. And we are worried as young people, because surely, she talked about her help. Now let me talk about, you know, rent. We pay rent. I mean, not all students, in fact, a small percentage of students are accommodated on campus. So many students are accommodated off campus.
Yes.
They pay rent. And landlords do not understand CBAs, offer, counter offer, the security return to work, and help, wherever. They don't understand. They simply know that at the end of the month, my account must behave. And so they are pushing comrades. Remember, the semester was to end a little earlier. Now it will protract. And it protracting has financial implications from paying rent to food and so on. Talk about the idleness of students. Many students are making babies. I mean, when they are idle, what else are they doing? You know, so it becomes a whole mess.
They are national TV, so also be careful what you say. Yes. Angel, let me go to you. The courts have told the lecturers to go back to class as they negotiate. Do you think that is what they should do?
Well, looking at what we are going through now is that our public universities are losing significance globally. our students are missing out on so many opportunities. And we can see parents starting to withdraw their students from public universities and opting them to private universities, whether parallel or regular. And this is not something that we want for our country and for our public universities, because we are known to chunk out the best in this country. We have chunked out leaders, we have chunked out so many professions in the country, and by not treating this matter with a lot of seriousness is a very big mistake.
But should lecturers come back to class as the negotiations continue?
That one is for them to decide. I don't know if they come back to class.
But you as a student, what would your answer be?
If they are very well satisfied that they should come back to class, because I don't want a lecturer who will come and then go again. No, I'm not, because I want them to come back with I finish and we move on properly, because we cannot keep on having these disruptions. They are costing us a heavy deal, and I know they understand that. And Bwana Vice Chair, if this matter is not addressed, we are ready to join. We are available. We are energetic.
You are now calling us like a Let me go to the lecturer before I get to you.
Yeah,
I mean,
thank you.
No, you know what I wanted to say, you are being unfair to the students, because they are very patriotic.
they're standing with the
They
lecturers.
have told us what they are going through, and it's like you milking, you know, you want them to give you facts which
No,
are
tell me.
beyond their...
Yes, you tell
So
me.
let's be
The
fair,
court
yes.
has ordered that the lecturers go back to strike as the negotiations continue. What is your response as lecturers?
I think that's a question that will be better answered by my boss. But I think what I need to say as an individual lecturer is, if I'm forced to go back and teach without our request being met in full, I will not be fully motivated. And they have already, they are already aware that
You are
demotivated lecturers
Okay.
will not be, as effective as those who are well catered for.
Okay, Vice Chair, could they have today said that they will go back to
well,
class?
it's not about
What about for WASU?
we empathize with our students. We really feel sorry for our students, because this is not their own making. We also feel sorry for our parents, the parents who really pay fees in time to keep the student in class and to be taught. Going back to what my son has said about the grade 4 or the senior 4 agenda,
It's called the Big Four agenda.
one of them is national development. And I think the easiest way to develop this nation is by production of skilled labor, the skilled manpower. And that is what our core business in public universities is all about. And therefore, let us not be euphoric, let us not be rhetoric on the agenda that is not actually being realized. You will not realize this agenda by putting tractors on the road. You realize it by processing these people in time and properly processed, not half-baked. So that
Are you
put them
going
in
to
the
appeal
market.
the court decision? Or
Now
are
the
you-
court decision,
Yes.
the court decision in lower court, that is Employment and Labor Relations Court, has already been challenged. The order was given, and immediately it was given because it was not in good faith. Because it appeared like the Vice Chancellor's IPUCC had already visited. They even took time to register that case, and they went for a judge they wanted, and that is how it was done. We immediately filed an application to stay that order, and give a notice of appeal. This was heard by the same judge on Friday, last Friday.
Yes.
He still did not want to stay the order. So we moved to Court of Appeal the same day. And the duty judge is giving direction tomorrow. That is in a Court of Appeal, where we have again applied for stay of that order. Because this strike was not called by workers in public universities. It was not called by WASU either. This strike has been called by IPCCF, Interpublic Universities Council's Consultative Forum, very well supported by the Ministry of Education
Okay, we'll talk about the consultation.
and the Treasury. Yeah,
But
they are the
first,
ones who
before
call
we
the
talk
strike.
about that,
If they want to call off the strike tomorrow, tell them to do one simple thing, and the Kenyans must understand this. We gave our proposal in January 2015.
Okay. We will get to the negotiations, but before that, I want us to go over to.
So we are waiting for the information. I mean the.
Let us first get feedback from the public before we continue with our discussion.
Thank you.
Jane, what is the public saying? Obviously, here there are a lot of emotions.
Definitely, and I have a few students who have actually reached out. Let me start with the SMS line 22162. I am a JQuat student and I'm really supporting the lecturers. If they can't be paid well, it also means we will not be paid well in future, because that is where we are heading, since some of us want to be lecturers. The government should look into this matter and work on it. That is from a JQuat student. Another one says, I hope the university unions are ready to pay lecturers during the period they are on strike. Otherwise, they are displaying impunity by defying court orders. Am I right? That is Kimani from Ngong. Maybe you'll be answering that for us. Let me quickly jump to Twitter. I have a Joshua who says, universities have turned into conveyor belts, just churning out graduates without the required skills and knowledge as a result of the strikes. Carl says, due to the frequent strikes, universities are compelled to run crash programs whenever the lecturers are back in class, okay? And this undermines proper teaching and learning in the universities. Stephen says, the lecturers are portraying a love for money. Teaching is surely a calling. We are in a third world country. If they wish to get better payment, they should go and teach in developed countries. Kenya is broke. Once again, these are the views of our, the opinions of our viewers. Let me move on to another one here saying, the lecturer strike just goes to show how essential it is for university education to get proper funding. And a final one from Diego who says, students are the main stakeholders in these lecturer strikes, yet they are not part of the negotiations. We had been ignored in the inquiry by the Parliamentary Education Committee. As you can see, the whole question of crash programs during which are run when the lecturers are available. We also have the question of universities being conveyor belts, just passing students through. Keep talking to us. Hashtag BTHKBC 22162 on the SMS line. Catherine, maybe you could address some of these issues.
Yes, and I want to pick up from the one that they were asking about before we get to the quality of education. Have you been paid your salary? Because they're saying you don't deserve to be paid your salary during this period. What is your take, Dr.
No.
Have you received your salary? And
I have not even checked, because I've been checking almost every day, but last week I did not go to the bank. But that's not the point. The point is, not all lecturers in all public universities are being paid or have been paid. And that the payment of salaries during the strike time is not the ultimate. The ultimate is addressing the inequalities, the low remunerations. That is what is not. My boss can confirm that. It's not that we want to be paid
more salaries.
For the March, for the months that we have been on strike. That one is all right, especially after the strike will have been called off formally, and our union agrees with the government. The salaries have to be paid. But the bottom line is, the government does not appear to be serious in addressing this.
All right, let's talk about the second concern that has been brought: the quality of students that you're churning out based on the consistent breaks. Yes. What would you make of that?
Now, I will answer that question, which is a major concern, and it has been raised that these persistent lecturer strikes are causing, are interrupting learning. And learning is the key part of the process of generating human capital, which starts with, if you imagine, a box on the left side. We have inputs. Inputs are students, they are lecturers.
Okay.
So the quality of that, which also includes preparedness of learners themselves. You have heard how they are suffering. Then from there we go with an arrow to the middle box, which is called process.
Okay.
All right, and that is where now cooking is taking place. But in this case, it's not taking place. And then the final box is outputs and outcomes, the quality of the human capital coming out, the skilled manpower. So this process, these strikes are affecting the cooking in the process.
Okay.
And consequently, as some of the students have rightly pointed out, the quality is going to be suspect.
Okay, I'm sorry I'm going to have to rush you, but we have about 2 minutes before we end up the show.
And
I want to give everyone at least,
that
before you handle that, I want to give everyone at least 40 seconds so that everyone can have a say as we wind up the show, and particularly to guide us on the way forward. You have just 40 seconds because our time, unfortunately, is up.
So I'm saying we have addressed that issue of the quality. I said one of the great 4 agenda the government is talking about, one of them is development. They must recognize the development of natural resources, the skilled manpower, and that is the students. I want to say to Kimani of Ngong, we have defied no court order. We are in court. We appealed. Appealing stay does not equate to defying an order. So let people know what is defying and what is moving in court. We are in court. And I want to put this one as a lasting statement. The government must have 2 answers. The one is short term, the other one is long term. The short term answer that will bring the lecturer to class yesterday, as early as yesterday, if not tomorrow, is by placing the counter offer on the board. If we have a counter offer, we may be philanthropic enough and give these people time to learn as we are negotiating. The long term, they must have structured negotiations where we have a very authoritative somebody from Ministry of Education, Treasury, DPM, that is Directorate of Personnel Management in President's Office, the IPCCF, and the WASU, or the unions. And that is, we had that kind of a structured negotiations back in 2006, and that is the one that yielded the man I told you. But now we are negotiating with our own colleagues, the Deputy Vice Chancellors, not even the Vice Chancellors. I'm co-chairing with the Professor
All right, your 40 seconds are up. I've actually given you a lot of message, but thank you for clarifying that. Angel, 40 seconds, based on, the feedback from the public, the fact that they feel that the quality of learners being churned out isn't at par. Would you agree? And perhaps what do you think is the way forward?
Well, the quality of learning, yes, it can be questioned a little bit, but if we put in the effort that is required, the quality of learning will still remain the same. Because what I see in this matter is that students are not being involved a lot, because as I am here, I am speaking for the students. I feel that the students should be involved in these discussions, because if the government feels that the students are too small, then it means that Madam CS has not been in one room with a mosquito to know how small things can affect big issues in this country, because students must be involved in these conversations. We are suffering a great deal. We are missing out on opportunities because nobody can employ you when you are still having pending issues at the university. So these matters must be addressed adequately and immediately, and if not, because we have a right to education and we have already paid for these services, so we need these services. We can even go to court and challenge what the government is doing, and what what our leaders in WASU are doing, because we need to know whether we can work together in this at the same time, because we need to address this matter either diplomatically or through unrest. Both ways are okay if they can work and give us the same results.
Okay, Susion.
Yeah, I want to say that the solution to this strike is not the battles in court. Battles in court do not change the situation. Even if the government, to obtain an order to declare the strike illegal does not take the lecturers back to, it does not take anyone back to work. Solution number one, one thing which is disturbing me, Madam Catherine, is that a counter offer has not been given. That is so disappointing. It means discussions have not started yet. So, one, the government to give the counter offer, discuss it, negotiate it, register it in court, register the CBA in court, and implement it. Like you said, they are good enough to allow negotiation after, at least when the counter offer is given. Just to conclude on that is that if the government continues with, court battles with lecturers, it will just be or an order to illegalize an appeal, an order to illegalize an appeal. Remember, the 100 days doctor strike was illegal. Even the union officials were jailed. But at the end of the day, they came to a round table and they had to lower their egos and resolve the issue.
Just hold that thought. I'm informed that they're going to give us an additional 10 minutes. Agreement to be done. Jane, what is the public saying?
Let me go back to Twitter. Hashtag BTHKBC at KBC Channel 1. Steve Casera says, why is it that private universities are being taught, yet we in public universities are at home? Lecturers are demanding high pays, yet they give just 5%. The government should also monitor how they teach. Si ati pesa ndio wanataka mingi na hawafunzi and making scenarios. Oluoch from KU. All right. Let me go to our SMS before you get to respond to them. Charity says public universities are wasting our parents' money since they are not delivering as they are being paid. After all the strikes, we are forced to undergo crash programs, which leaves us unskilled. That is Charity, speaking from a student's point of view. Serem from Kisumu says the final solution to this lecturer strike is them being on contract. All right?
Yeah.
Deno says crash programs is a cheat of reality. And a final one which says students strike when they feel like. Let the lecturers also enjoy the same privilege. Caroline from Kwale. And let me see. Oh yeah, this one from.
Would you take that again?
Caroline, who says students strike when they feel like it. Let the lecturers also enjoy the same. Those are just some of your views. Keep them coming. We still have a few minutes to go. Catherine, maybe you guys could address them before we actually wind up properly.
Yes. Remember, we don't have a lot of minutes. They added us just 10 minutes. We have already eaten about 2 or 3 of that. But I want to go to you, especially the question about contracts, because that is a discussion we saw the former Education Cabinet Secretary saying that perhaps it is time for lecturers to start being employed on a contract basis. What would be your response?
Now, I think contract or permanent, the terms of employment may not be the solution, because I could be on contract, but I am not adequately compensated. So I will still not be motivated to do the job. The main problem is that the government is not broke. I mean, somebody said, one of the
Treasury had said it was broke at some point.
The government is, no, I think it's the way resources are utilized. And I dare say inefficiently in some cases. There's a lot of corruption and the priorities are not right, because as Mr. Beria pointed out, and it's true, the quality of human resource is what turns around countries.
Okay.
So what, just 1 second. The reason why the government may be seen to be broke, in quote, is we have too many universities, which some of which are not sustainable. All right, it's because the government has allowed the creation of universities to be politicized. So, some of them have fewer students. Their location. They are not well located to attract even lecturers. I'm aware of some of the public universities where lecturers are not interested in. So we need to find a way, either stopping further creation of new universities, and strengthen the funding of existing ones.
Okay. To put it into perspective, you are on the negotiating table.
Yeah.
In terms of the taxpayer, how much more will it cost them? What is the exact amount that you're asking for? So that the public can appreciate what it costs them in terms of monetary.
The current CBA proposal that we submitted to IPCCF and later it was submitted to the government has completely digressed and refused to address a global figure. And we shall not accept a global figure. Vice Chancellors promote this kind of scenario for us to stay on strike, so that the government gives a global figure, 10 billion, 7.8 billion, so that when it comes to dividing, 25% of it gets lost into the same pockets. and what gets
what
to
is
the
it
workers
that you want as
so
well?
this is what we have asked.
Yes.
The universities in Kenya, public universities, are the only institutions in Kenya and in East Africa, and I think in the world, that have been dealing with unstructured salaries. Quite unstructured. Where you see an assistant lecturer completely lapping up the lecturer and touching 2 or 3 grades in the senior lecturer. And therefore, sometimes you may even become redundant. I don't need further studies because after all, I'm getting the senior lecturers and I'm assistant lecturer. So that is what we want to remove, the overlaps. We want to remove the kind of unstructured salaries, so that salaries are staircases like you see here. So
Depending on your
everybody
level of
hands salary equivalent to the work you do and at that grade. That is addressed in that CBA.
Okay.
And before even an amount is given, we have to structure the salaries.
So the main thing that you're pushing
the
for
main
is
thing is
structured
that
salaries.
Then the other thing, as you mentioned earlier, we have also asked the government to respect the university the way they have respected other public servants. That is to do with the mortgage and car loan. The public servants are earning car loan and mortgage at only 3%. We are also saying we are also serving the same government.
Okay.
Let us also be given an equivalent respect. We need houses to house our children and our wives and our husbands. We need cars to arrive to teach these daughters and sons in good time.
Okay.
And we are addressing it there.
Yes.
There is a lot of serious disparity in retirement ages in public universities. In one like Egerton and Chuka University, they retire university lecturers at 65 years.
Okay.
Others retire at 70. Others 74. KU retires at 74. Pwani retires at 75.
All right,
we are fighting a common retirement age.
Okay.
So it is not an easy CBA. So what we are asking, short term, let them place the counter proposal on the table.
The counter proposal.
And
Okay.
counter each and every item in that proposal.
All right, thank you. I'll give you each 20 seconds because our 10 minutes is obviously up. The issue about which they say that lecturers giving 5% in lecture halls, what's your take?
Sorry?
The issue about, there was a viewer who said that the lecturers are giving 5% in class, and there's always that perception that lecturers are always hurrying to the next class because they're making extra money. Is that the case?
Well, I have not seen that case at my university, and what I would say is that we have different lecturers, and we cannot obviously miss 1 or 2 who are having that kind of behavior, but we cannot spoil the whole crowd because of those 1 or 2 of those, because we have big issues in the university. That is not an issue we need to look at this time. And also I wanted to emphasize on the point of being broke. The government cannot give us an excuse of being broke, because we're also going to work into parliament to have our help increased. And again, as I said, because we cannot have a 1990s help still working for us in the 21st century in 2018. Okay. And as I said initially, the president is our chair of Nyumba Kumi. We
So
can walk to his place and remind him if he is not reminded.
Okay, thank you. So Sion, 10 seconds before we wrap this up.
When we talk about the lecturers giving more than what they expect, I think every university has a structure to monitor teaching in the university and for feedback to be given. And the KU one is watertight. We even have class representatives who give weekly reports on class attendance. So it may be 1 or 2. Tunasema kwa Kiswahili mkala muue na haki yake mpe. So wanataka haki yao wapewe, mkala auawe. So let them get what they deserve, get their right, come back to class, teach. Those who will mess, we will, as student leadership, advocate for, a fair give and take.
Okay.
As you paid, give also what we deserve. Yeah,
all right, thank you very much, because that is Kipsan Sosina, student leader at Kenyatta University. We also had Angel Budhia, student leader at the University of Nairobi, as well as the national vice chairperson of WASU, that is Joseph Mberia, and finally Dr. Andrew Riechi, who is a lecturer at the University of Nairobi. Obviously, this is a discussion that if we had more time, we would continue a lot of issues that we haven't been able, of course, to ventilate within this hour. But of course, it is a start, and it's a conversation that we'll keep having even as the government continues to talk to lecturers to see the way forward to address this issue once and for all. Well, my name is Kathina Chenga. I now want to hand you over to Jane to conclude with your feedback as she also wraps up her part of the show. Good evening.
As you say, that is all the time we had. If we did have more time, we would have proceeded, but we have to wind up there. But thank you very much for your feedback, especially from the students who have, sent in their SMSs and their views regarding to this lecture strike. My name is Jen Wamboy. Be sure to join us again next week from 6 p.m. as we tackle this and more issues that are affecting us in one way or the other. Good evening and good night.